So essentially, the way an mRNA vaccine works is it's a set of instructions, like a blueprint, that we inject into your body, and these pieces of your cells called ribosomes make a protein from that set of instructions. They read the list, they say, okay, this is what I'm gonna make, like a recipe. They make the protein, and then the recipe gets thrown away. So the mRNA itself gets degraded very quickly after we make the protein. It doesn't hang around. And then what we're left with is this little protein that looks like coronavirus. And your immune system reacts to it as if it was coronavirus, but it can't make you sick because it's only this one little part. And so what we get then is the protection of having our immune system think it's seen the virus without the risk of having gotten the virus. The Pfizer vaccine is 2 doses that are given 21 days apart. The Moderna vaccine is also 2 doses, but they're 28 days apart. So it's gonna be very important to know which one you got. In both of them, after you get both doses, we start to see protection about a week later. It's at a week later, we have that 95% vaccine efficacy, where they looked at people who 1 week after the second dose, only 9 of the people who had the vaccine had gotten sick, and 170 of the people who hadn't gotten the vaccine had gotten sick. And these are just people going about their day-to-day lives. It's able to protect them without doing anything extra or special, which is really fantastic. There are several reasons this went faster than we see for traditional vaccines. The first of which is that we already knew a lot about coronaviruses. So because of the SARS pandemic, which happened about 10 years ago, and MERS, which was a similar infection that happened in the Middle East, those are both coronaviruses. We learned a lot about how the immune system reacts to coronaviruses thanks to those things. So we were able to know pretty quickly that this spike protein, which is the thing the mRNA helps you make, is going to be what we needed in a vaccine. Normally, we develop vaccines and any therapeutic as a relay race, where we do one part and then we hand off to the next part. In this particular case, it was more like swimmers in a lane where everybody went at one time. And so you still get all of the data you need. You still have the ability to stop at any point in time if there's something that's unsafe. There's a risk that they were going to make all of this vaccine and we find out it didn't work. And then they just discard everything they have. So there's some financial risk to that for companies. Operation Warp Speed helped us overcome that. It helped them get lots of people in the trials really quickly. It helped them get production ready to go so that as soon as the FDA and CDC said yes, the vaccine shipped. The FDA process and the CDC process were the same as they are for any other vaccine or therapeutic, and they're publicly available. One of our own experts at UAMS, Dr. Jeanette Lee, is actually on the FDA advisory panel. And our Secretary of Health for the state of Arkansas, Dr. Jose Romero, is the chair of the ACIP committee that advises the CDC on the vaccine. So we have people who know Arkansans, who know science, who know safety, giving advice on it to make sure none of the steps are skipped. And we check all the boxes to make sure this is going to be effective and safe. When you get that kind of fatigue and body aches or soreness in your arm, that's because your immune system is doing its job and recognizing that it's been introduced to something new it wants to protect you from. What we see so far in terms of side effects in this vaccine is that they are very quick. They start about a day after your vaccine, they last about 24 hours, and then they go away. Younger people tend to get more side effects than older people, and the side effects feel sort of flu-like. So you have headaches, body aches, joint aches. But we didn't see anything that was a long-term or serious adverse event. The side effects that you're going to get from the vaccine last about a day. COVID-19 can last a lot longer than that, and we're seeing lots of things that are long-term effects from that. So part of the thing when we think about introducing artificial immunity, that's what a vaccine does, right? Is that it gives you the ability to be protected without the risk of all of the bad things. Lots of people have asymptomatic COVID-19 infection. Lots of people have what feels like a flu-like illness. But lots of people also have really serious illness and end up in the hospital. We've had high mortality, and we're seeing lots and lots of people who have what we're calling kind of this prolonged post-COVID syndrome, where even when you're better, it takes a long time to get back to normal. That's what we want to avoid. What we don't know yet is which ones are going to have the most longest lasting immunity, because we don't know yet how long your protection is from these vaccines. So it may be that we find out one gives you really high protection, but it goes away quickly, whereas one gives you a lot longer protection. We may find out that one of them is better for certain populations of people than others. Until we get more vaccines in the field, we don't have the information we need for that. One of the things we're going to watch as time goes on is what all of that data looks like, and that helps us figure out next year or in future times where we have to give this vaccine to be able to target a little bit more specifically to you as a patient, because we're all different. One of the things that we don't know yet is whether or not the vaccine will keep you from spreading it to someone else. Until we know for sure, we have to wear our masks and maintain our distancing. It's really important as people who work for a healthcare system, who work for Arkansas Children's Hospital, and our neighbors know that, and our families know that, to continue to do what we know is best practice for public health and distance and wear our masks until this is over and everybody is vaccinated and everybody is safe. So if you have allergies to something that's injected, like a prior vaccine or an injected medication, you should talk to your doctor before you get the vaccine. If you have allergies to something you eat, like peanuts or shellfish or bananas, somebody called me about the other day, or allergies to bee stings or wasp bites, those kind of things, there's no reason to think the vaccine isn't safe or effective for you, so you're absolutely allowed to get the vaccine. The other thing that I hear a lot is people who have immune diseases or autoimmune diseases, should I get the vaccine? Again, the later stages of these trials included people who had problems with their immune system and included people who had autoimmune disease. We know COVID infection is much worse in those patients than it is in anybody else, and we have no evidence that the vaccine is bad for those people. So absolutely, we should make sure we get the vaccine. Again, you should talk to your doctor if you're worried, but as a patient with lupus, I will absolutely be getting my vaccine as soon as they let me. The other thing that I'm getting asked a lot that we should know is if you've already had COVID infection, you should still get vaccinated. There were people in all the studies who had previously been infected with COVID. They didn't have worse side effects after they got the vaccine than anybody else did, and they actually still had some protection. We know that people who have COVID can get reinfected. So just because you've had it before doesn't mean you shouldn't get the vaccine now. We do still want you to get vaccinated.